cash a meal. And do it through the pain, I don't need a pill. And life gon' get me down, but it won't break my will. Cause I've been chasing this so long, I can't give up. I won't give in, been through too much. I done prayed for the money, I done prayed for the fame. I done prayed that I will make a sacrifice and play this game. I done prayed that my life would never be the same. I done prayed that I will make it bring glory to my name.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, this podcast is brought to you by Final Form Supplements. Final Form Supplements is a supplement brand with honesty labeling. So the labeling in supplements is Wild Wild West. Sometimes labels aren't honest. They have things in there that's on in there. We don't have to worry about that with Final Form Supplements. We got everything you need from protein powder, creatine, skin care, soap for your skin, handcrafted soap, and we have all kinds of things. Go to finalformsubs.com, that's S-U-P-P-S, finalformsubs.com, use promo code COACHSTRIB, all caps, no space, get 10% off your order, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe on whichever video you're watching here at Ivy Talks Podcast Network, and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the NFL coverage. We're going to recap Week 9, statistical leaders, and then go into what we're looking for Week 10. So we have, getting straight into it, Thursday night we had Houston versus the New York Jets. Thought Houston would take this one, but surprisingly, Jets actually take that win 13-21. Aaron Rodgers had a pretty good game, a shakeback game, with 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I actually do believe, let me double check that for you. Yeah, Devontae Adams had a touchdown. Garrett Wilson had 2 touchdowns. So Devontae Adams seems like he's being inserted into the offensive playbook pretty well and is contributing right away. Then we had Denver Broncos, Baltimore Ravens, 41-10, pretty dominant win for Baltimore. Derrick Henry becomes the 10th player in NFL history to score 100 career rushing touchdowns. He had, I believe, 2 touchdowns in that game. We had Cincinnati beats the Raiders 41-24, another dominant win. Titans beat the Patriots. Just like I said last week, I was hoping Titans could squeak this out. I figured they would, but it came down there to the wire. It was a win in overtime, 20-17 for the Tennessee Titans. Carolina Panthers beat the Saints 23-22. Falcons beat the Cowboys 27-21. Cowboys are off to a very, very rough start to the season. They are 3-5 currently for the season, with obviously expecting to do better considering that they just gave Dak Prescott the highest annual salary contract in NFL history at $62 million a year. Alrighty, now the Bills beat the Dolphins 30-27. Browns lose to the Chargers 27-10. Commanders beat the Giants 27-22. Eagles beat the Jaguars 28-23. Cardinals beat the Bears 29-9. Seahawks lose to the Rams 26-20. They're in overtime. Detroit beat the Packers 24-14. Vikings beat the Colts 21-13. And then Monday night, we had a nail-biter between the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. But the Chiefs get the dub 30-24 in overtime. And bye weeks was Pitt, San Francisco. And against Kansas City Chiefs, just like they've been doing all season, they are finding ways to win. Their wins aren't completely dominating. They're not super just imposing their will. They're pretty much coming down to the fourth quarter or overtime, and they're just finding ways to make plays to get the dub at the end of the game. That's really what it's all about. The question is, can they keep going at this rate? With DHop being added, I think they potentially could. Juju Smith-Schuster, I believe, is inactive this week. I know he was held out of practice for today as of Wednesday. I don't normally record Tuesday, but I had a podcast for Uncle Strib yesterday, so I'm recording a day later. And there was a report that he was held back in practice. So whenever he comes back, it's inserted. But DHop comes out with, I believe he had 2 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that for you. DHop, yeah, he had 2 receiving touchdowns, 8 catches for 86 yards. Kelsey had 14 for 100 yards. Watson had 3 for 43. And then Shamahe Perine, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his last name, but he had a receiving touchdown as well. So with the addition of DHop with that offense, kind of a guy you can almost throw to as your safeguard or your safety net that'd be a really good benefit for Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm interested to see how they start performing as we move forward. I'm talking as if they aren't undefeated, but just in a sense of being a more dominant, being more imposing their wins from imposing their will from an offensive standpoint. Statistically, before we get to statistical leaders, we're going to go into the standings by division, conference and division. So AFC East, Bills, and I'm doing this in the order that they're listed from first to fourth in each division. AFC East, Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. AFC North, Pittsburgh, Ravens, Bengals, Browns. And then just a caveat to the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers have the same amount of wins, but Ravens have played more games because Steelers just had a bye. So the Ravens are second due to that, to more losses in their record. But Pitt will play this week, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just a little caveat that it really could flip-flop at any given week for Pittsburgh and the Ravens, just because the Ravens have played one more game and they have the same amount of wins, but they have an extra loss in their on their record. AFC South, we have Texans, Colts, Titans, Jags. AFC West, Chiefs. Again, Chiefs the only undefeated team left. They're 8-0. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. In the NFC East, we have Commanders, Philly, Cowboys, Giants. Almost the exact opposite of what people would expect. Maybe not the Eagles, but definitely Cowboys being in the bottom two and the Commanders being number one, which is probably a shock there for most people in terms of just before the season started. Washington Commanders, though, are leading the charge in NFC East. NFC North, no surprise here. You have Detroit, Vikings, Packers, Bears, about what I would expect. NFC South, we have Falcons, Bucks, Panthers, Saints. I would have figured Bucks and Saints would have been that 1 and 2, but Falcons are having a pretty good year this season. And then NFC West, we have Cardinals, Rams, 49ers, Seahawks. Now, getting into the statistical leaders, passing yards, we have Geno Smith still holding strong. He's been pretty much at the top of the passing yards all season. Baker Mayfield's right behind him by about 200 passing yards, but Geno Smith, 22,560 passing yards. Passing touchdowns, Baker Mayfield at 23. Receiving yards, Justin Jefferson at 783. Receiving touchdowns, Jamar Chase at 7. Rushing yards, Derrick Henry breaks 1,000 yards after last game, 1,052, the only player over 1,000 yards so far. Rushing touchdowns, Derrick Henry at 11. Interceptions, Xavier McKinney got passed up. He's now in second. First place is Kirby Joseph out of Detroit with 6. Well, they're both tied for first at 6. At 6 interceptions. Xavier McKinney and Kirby Joseph are both tied for 6 interceptions. Defensive tackles, we have Zaire Franklin for the Colts at 95. Sacks, we have Trey Hendeckerson, I believe that's how you say it, at 11 sacks. That's going to be the statistical leaders. Now, looking forward to week 10, which we have, this will be dropping Thursday. So tonight, Thursday Night Football, we have Ravens, Bengals. Then Sunday, this is going to kick off the NFL International Series in Munich. I believe I'm saying that right. Again, if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. But we have the Panthers, Giants 6.5 point favorite there. We have the Bucks, 49ers. So the 49ers at Bucks, Falcons at Saints, Broncos at Chiefs, Bills at Colts, Pittsburgh at Commanders, Vikings at Jaguars, Patriots at Bears, Titans at Chargers, Philly at Dallas, Jets at Cardinals, Detroit at Texans, Miami at Rams. And then bye weeks, we have the Browns, Green Bay, Las Vegas, and Seattle. Now, I want to check something real quick because Washington is playing. Okay, I actually have a handful of Coach Strib's games to watch. The first one's Thursday night. It's not because it's Thursday night, but it's because I want to see if the Ravens can dominate a legitimate team. Now, I know the Bengals are 4-5. They don't have a winning record, but from an offensive standpoint with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is doubtful, I believe, for this week. But you gotta my personal opinion is I think the best pocket passer in the league right now, and Joe Burrow. So especially if the offensive line gives him 3 seconds, he's the best passer in the NFL. With that team, can the Ravens defense show that they can shut down a legitimate offense, especially with a receiver like Jamar Chase and with a running back like Mixon? So yes, I'm looking. T. Higgins, he's questionable. T. Higgins is questionable for the Bengals. I want to check the injury report. And the running back, I said Mixon. I misspoke. That's for Houston Texans. That's not for Cincinnati. But anyway, irregardless, if the defense for the Ravens can show up against a legitimate offense, I'm curious to see that. Not only that, but for the Ravens offensively to continue the chemistry that they've had with Henry, Zay Flowers, and Lamar Jackson, as well as Likely and Andrews. So I mean, you look across the board, everybody's touching the ball. Everybody's getting touches. Everybody is involved in the offense. It's not just one guy. Zay Flowers is getting action. Andrews and Likely are getting action. Obviously, Derrick Henry leading in rushing touchdowns and rushing yards. And Lamar Jackson second in touchdown passes. He's also leading quarterbacks in rushing yards. Everybody is contributing in high fashion. I'm curious to see, can they continue that? Because they did have that blunder against the Browns where they got upset by the Browns. Can they get consistent with their wins? Next, I have 49ers Bucks. 49ers are 5.5 point favorite. If I was going to bet for an underdog, I might take the Bucks on this one. Even though the Bucks are 4-5, Baker Mayfield has been playing really good and pretty consistent. He has the least amount of, he's tied for last in interceptions thrown. So he's not turning the ball over a lot, but he's also top in, I believe, he's top 5 in passing yards and passing touchdowns. So talking about a guy that is throwing at a high clip but not turning the ball over. I'm curious to see how that 49ers defense, how they handle that. And then, again, 49ers just dealing with a riddle of injuries. Can they get that win as well? So that one, I think, is going to be a good matchup there. Chiefs, Broncos, not really. But the next one, Pittsburgh Commanders. Pittsburgh has been quietly good. Russell Wilson, passer rating of a 111. So, I mean, he's playing. I don't know if he's getting the credit that he necessarily should be getting, but he's playing great basketball. He's playing great football. Yes, I just want to double his passer rating, or his rate is 111. So he's playing good football. And not only that, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're 6-2. So I'm curious to see that matchup between the Steelers and Commanders. They're both two teams that are top. 6-2, 7-2. Can the Commanders keep rolling with Jaden Daniels and doing what they're doing? Can the Pittsburgh Steelers galvanize around Russell Wilson? Because I'm going to be honest, this season for Wilson I think this is it. This is his make it or break it season. Again, he's starting now, but earlier on when he wasn't starting, I thought if he didn't perform the way he needed to this season, this might be him on his way out. But if he continues this and rides Pittsburgh all the way to the playoffs and then goes for a deep playoff run, I think he gets a contract extension and he's here to stay, kind of like revitalize his career. So this is a very, very important game for Russell Wilson. This is going to be the hardest team he's faced since he started. So this is going to be the test for Russell Wilson. Now, I think I have one more. Obviously, Titans Chargers. I got two more. My last two. Eagles Cowboys. Eagles are 6-2. Eagles are solid. The reason why this is one of my games to watch is because if the Dallas Cowboys lose not only to a divisional rival, a conference team, and they go lose 2 in a row, they drop to 3-6, I think there's going to be turmoil in the Dallas Cowboys organization. I think if they lose this game 2 in a row, let me see who they play next. Then they got Texans. So their next 3 games, they got Eagles, Texans, Commanders. I think if they lose to the Eagles, I could see them losing Texans and Commanders. Texans would be tough. I think they could probably get Texans, but it's not guaranteed the way they're playing. Eagles, Texans, Commanders. Then they have Giants. I think they get the dub on the Giants. With those 3, if they lose these next 3, I do believe somebody at the organization is getting fired. Mike McCarthy, I don't know. D coordinator, GMs, I don't know. Because, well, do they have a GM now? Or is Jerry Jones calling the shots? I don't even know. That's not the point. I think somebody's getting fired if they lose these next 3 games after giving Dak Prescott $62 million a year, the highest annual salary contract in NFL history. And they go 3, what would they be, 3-8? To be go 3-8? Turmoil was going to happen. So that's why I got this one, simply because Dallas has to win. I said that last week, but now they for real have to win. You can't lose 2 in a row. Because 2 in a row turns into 3 in a row, turns into 4 in a row. Now we're getting to like the halfway mark of the season. You got 3 wins. Hard to come back from that. So this is for sure. I think if Dallas loses this one, I don't want to say it because statistically they still have a chance to get back to get their shit together before the end of the season. But if they lose this one, go 3-6, tough. It's tough. And I think if the Eagles win this one, I think Eagles can go on a run. They haven't been really getting, I don't think they've been getting the clout or the hype or whatever that I think they should. I think they've been very quietly good this year. Nobody's really talking about them. Obviously, Saquon Barkley with the reverse hurdle highlights, et cetera, A.J. Brown doing his thing. But I think they've been really quiet, and they only have 2 losses in the season. So that was for sure must watch. And then lastly, Detroit Texans. Simply because I think that's going to be a good matchup. I think it's going to be a good game. You got Detroit, one of the top teams, and they only have 1 loss. They are 7-1, Texans 6-3. This is going to really be a good matchup for either team. So I want to see whose defense can slow down, because both of these offenses, you talk about high-powered offense. Both of these offenses are they're both top 10 offenses. So you have top 10 offenses. Texans defense is top 3. They got the number 3 total defense in the NFL. Can the Lions offense do more offensively against a top 3 defense than the Texans offense can do against the Lions? Because the Lions defense is 23rd. So they're not, Lions, their game plan is we're just going to outscore you. They're just an air it out offense. We're just gonna run up the board. We're gonna put on a bunch. I mean, they scored 52 points against the Titans. They scored 40-something points last game. They're just gonna. You might score, but we're gonna match your score. Can the Texans defense? Hey, we just need 2 or 3 stops. With our offense, we can do the same. We can do the exact same. So we'll see. Texans are averaging 22 points a game. Detroit's averaging 32 points a game. So Texans are probably going to have to score 28 to 34 points to win this game. And if you're Texas defense, you got to hold Detroit 21. Can you? We'll see. They're averaging 32. Can you hold them to 21? If Texans hold Detroit to 21 points or less, Texans win. That's what it's going to come down to. And that's pretty much the only other one I might throw in there is the Jets and Cardinals, because I want to see if the Jets can get 2 wins in a row. The Jets can get another win against the Cardinals. Jets move to 4-6, which isn't too far. If they go on a little bit of a run, they could potentially still have hope for making the playoffs, wild card potentially, but we'll see. But I've ranted too much. There's a lot of interesting games next week. This week. That's why I'm excited. I'm kind of rambling. So it's going a little longer than usual, but again, we got a lot of games going on. And I'm curious to see how things play out this weekend. It's going to be it for this episode of the NFL coverage. We'll catch you guys next time.
My destiny, I'm gonna chase my dreams. My life